Yeah, hi.
Hello and welcome to the Ori Mill with
Tilde?
and Stephen. And we're married, by the way.
Yeah, that's why.
I know you can see...
The tension?
No, I was going to see the tension. I was going to see the undying love and affection. Why are you laughing?
Yeah.
Okay, right. How long have we been married for? It was our anniversary this week, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was...
On Independence Day.
Yes.
That's good, isn't it? Your wedding day was an Independence Day when we became not independent. And we have been married for what? 14?
Well, our daughter was 2 when we got married, so 14 years.
She is 16 now. So
Yeah,
we did
14.
14 and we've been together for about 19.
Actually, I think it's over 20.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was 2002 we met.
When you were 15 and I was 16.
Yes.
No. I'm younger and we met when you were 20, when we were in our 20s.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough of that. Boring. So you're teaching me to knit
Yeah.
and it's going okay. We talked about this in the last video that you were I want to learn how to knit something I want to take a leap and do something a bit more complicated. So we bought these manly jumpers for real men because knitting is for real men. So look at these handsome guys. So I want to knit a jumper out of here, or actually a tank top. And it's a bit of a leap because I've only ever knitted.
You only this for really 5 minutes.
That's the most complex thing I've knitted. So I've knitted a simple beanie. We took the beanie idea because it's a thing at the end of the day.
Well, a
useful thing.
So when I taught you in the Baltic beanie was really just because you needed to learn the knit stitch first of all, and
Casting on, knit stitch,
and casting off.
casting off, be a bit of
Sewing
stitch up. It's a stitch up, governor.
So
I can't believe these. Look at these guys. They're so manly. They're so much more manly with that giant scarf. Look at that scarf. Anyway, so we're going to do. I wanted to jump onto a thing, but the mystery of knitting patterns.
yeah, well, this could be. First of all, you're not even going for a knitting pattern. We have to do our own knitting patterns because you want to knit a finer. You want to knit.
No, you're jumping ahead. No, jumping ahead. So let's be a bit complicated. But yes, so the bottom line is that I've got a sample kit of all the wool for this nice jumper. Let's move to overhead camera.
Yeah.
So I've got hello overhead person. So this kind of crickety style jumper. Arnie and Carlos, a famous where are they? I was going to say Swedish, but are they Swedish? Norwegian duo. And I've got the wool for this, but I didn't quite like. No, I don't dislike that, but I just didn't want to do this.
It wasn't. I think it wasn't fitted enough for you.
No, it's too. No, I don't mind baggy, but I don't want the stitches. I don't want this collar and this finish. So we found another, but the problem is the wool I've got is the cotton cashmere. It's for this.
Yeah.
And the weight and the tension. Yeah.
So it's a double knit, yes.
But then we went in here and I said, well, what if I wanted to use this pattern? And there's some nice. These are Martin. This is Martin's story. We talked about this in an earlier video.
Yeah.
And we found. Was it this one?
This one there.
Right, so it's different colours, but I don't think I'm going to do the two colours. I'm going to do one colour.
You're just going to do one colour.
It's a simpler tank top slip over. It's called Amos, but the problem is this wool is discontinued, isn't it?
Yes, I think this may be still shop selling a little bit of it, but they're not making
But
any more.
in general, around are not making any more of it.
No.
Oh, why can't I find it? We're going to have to stop the video. This one. Right, so
this one is a 4-ply and you got a double knit.
Right, so let's rewind and not worry about that. Let's go to how to read a pattern.
Yeah, so
Okay.
if you go back to the first pattern, you had the Baltic beanie. Which
The Baltic beanie is just on our website.
Yeah. You can download it.
No!
Free.
It's free and Tilda made it. And the point of the Baltic beanie is to learn to knit, right?
Yeah.
It's very when you knit it, you realise what it is. It's a square of fabric. in this garter stitch, and we talked about this in the last video. Garter stitch is just knitting, just knit stitch.
Yeah.
Right? So simple garter stitch beanie for complete beginners.
Yeah.
And the keyboard's in the short. So it's part of your kind of you actually had 3.
This is part of my
It's pure
learn to
Baltic,
knit.
and you thought you were so funny because you're Danish, and in Glasgow, they say in Glasgow parlance, they say it's pure Baltic, so it is, and it's pure Baltic. It means the temperature is akin to that which you'd find in the Baltic region of Europe, which is very cold.
Yeah.
So you're saying simple garter stitch design. So these are basically knitting out bits of fabric, squares of fabric, and then we stitch it up. We curve it round and stitch it up, or we don't. Or in the case of the scarf, we don't. We just knit it off.
Yeah.
And then cast off.
Yeah. So
now for the magic, the runes of knitting. What is going on?
So in a pattern, and you will see the other one I'm going to actually show you, is we always start with the yarn. What do you actually need? So for the hat, you need 100 gram of brown big wool.
Okay.
And then you will see there's the sizing.
Okay, so I'm just checking our timing. Sorry, people.
And you can adjust here. I've just put a wee note that you can adjust the sizing. So
yeah, so another, and we said this in the last video, but another note is that we're constantly using our trusty Knit Pro tape measure because, albeit they're very accurate. These guides, they are guides.
Yeah. Again, tools.
10mm needles.
10mm needles, basically down here.
And if you want,
you
pom-pom
can
maker.
A pom-pom maker. If
Which
you want
I didn't do.
Yeah, if you want to make a pom-pom, or you can get some fabulous, inexpensive.
You can buy them. That's it.
Pom-poms as well.
This is important. So this is universal, yes.
Yeah. So this is basically
let's
universal.
Have a pointer. Where's my pointer?
Actually, your pointer was there.
No, I don't want my big pointer. I want the 10mm pointer. Who's the other?
You put it over here.
Right.
Abbreviations. I got another pattern here with a little bit more abbreviations in.
So you get K for knit, STS or
Stitch.
SD is stitch.
Or stitches.
Right.
Because we don't have any. In this pattern here, you can see they have.
So that's quite interesting. They're saying G stitch is garter stitch. Every row is knit.
Yeah.
Weight.
G gram.
Length.
Yeah.
K for knit. Always M for double M for millimeters.
Yeah.
Repeat. Now I get a wee bit thing with this right side and left side. Why?
No.
Right side and wrong side. That's what confuses me. Okay.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Right side, wrong side.
So.
Can we demonstrate it somehow? I think I've got some knit stitch here.
Have you? Or I can actually quickly do my wee.
Okay, do your blanket. See if that is in focus.
So, this is the right side.
Because
you can't see. This is the wrong side. You can see.
But is that the only thing that these are?
Because a garter stitch is really double-sided.
So there isn't a wrong side, really.
So there isn't really a wrong side.
But in this instance, so if I had a garter stitch of fabric,
you couldn't really see what.
There's not a right side, wrong side.
There is a way of spotting it based on where your tail end is, but again, you need to know. What it depends on what way you cast on. So we're casting on with the long tail cast on.
Mm-hmm.
So if we have our tail to the right, we're looking at the right side, so right side, and if it's to the left, it's the wrong side.
Wow. Okay. So we'll talk more about that as we go.
Yeah.
So these are quite good abbreviations, but let's go back to your.
They're still very, very kind of basic. So in the terms of the hat pattern, it's really, really a simple instruction. Basically, using 10mm needles loosely cast on 19 or 21 stitches.
And we've got a detailed video for this, which we'll link to in the video, because it is useful to do, and it is quite simple. It's almost so simple you feel like, but what? This is kind of pointless.
Yeah.
But it's not. As a first step, it really helped me understand.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm casting on, and I'm learning the length of the garment or the thing I want.
Yeah.
why the casting on is so important, how to come out of casting on by knitting, and what a knit meant, and then now I'm onto this ribbed, which is a purling knit, and it's it's really quite good, and it's the same principles throughout. But I'm still being thrown a wee bit by the patterns.
Yeah. So, but this is a very, very simple one. It really is just about that long there.
But I think what we'll do, what we have done is broken this down into steps. It's actually about 10 steps because we're using 10mm needles cast on.
Yeah.
Then knit a row.
Yeah.
So step 1, step 2, then cast off loosely.
Yeah.
And I think that cast offs can be a wee bit tricky. And then you've also got, but in this paragraph, you've got
how to
sew it up, and then weaving in your ends.
Yeah.
And that's, as you showed me, quite easy, but you need someone to show you, I think.
Yeah.
So you've got a slightly more slightly more detailed pattern.
Yeah.
Now this on our website too?
Yes, this is actually a free download as well.
So it comes as an e-download, or you can come in and get the book. Is the book cost?
Well, it's a free one if you buy any Rowan yarn.
Oh, free Rowan yarn.
No, not free Rowan.
Oh, sorry,
yarn.
free patterns
with purchase.
Not free Rowan yarn, I'm afraid. Maybe if we win the lottery,
Yeah.
we'll give away some yarn.
So, but
So
what?
it's Enchant by Martin Story.
Yeah.
Right, okay,
So-
interesting. So we need to do our measurements, right?
So first of all, that you always find again, you kind of sizing.
Yeah.
And
And this is giving you some...
Yeah, for garments you will often find it's to fit a certain size, and then you will get the actual bust measurement of the garment here. You can also, another way of looking at the sizes is that you look at the back here. That will give you the width and the height, and also the information of kind of sizing on the different pieces. So
I mean, is everything kind of a garment coming off your needles?
Yeah, so if you were a sewer, you kind of recognise these shapes for sewing
these are
things up.
panels of...
Yeah. And a sewer will obviously cut it out, but we have to knit
form
it. We have to knit it into shape. So that's the one we're working on here, which is quite a traditional size. Again, you got your yarn. This is actually discontinued yarn again. The reason I've written 250 metres over here is that each ball has...
Sorry, is the yarn called patina?
Yeah.
Because patina just means, a mottled aging or colour, but so it just refers to the yarn.
Yes, this was the yarn that was called patina.
Oh, patina, and they've discontinued... Oh, sorry, not even in shot. So patina, and they're not doing that anymore.
No, but you can replace it with another double knit.
So it's just a DK, it's a double knit yarn.
Yes.
It's quite a nice yarn, but it's got a bit of a haze on it as well, you can see.
So...
but are you saying almost any DK wool? DK yarn?
I would say so. Sometimes you need to be a little bit careful if it's got a specific drape, but that one looks quite a standard. Standard.
So I've got any DK yarn that I like. I've got my size going on.
You see here, there's 4, 5,
This is
6.
the number of balls.
This is number ball, 50 gram balls that has 250 metres on them.
Oh, so let's just quickly grab a ball.
Yeah. So this is a 50 gram ball here.
Yeah.
And you need to then look at your ball band. Covered that in the previous video.
The previous video, ball band looking.
Yeah.
Right. Now this round ball bands are really small and a bit annoying, so apologies.
So you need to get that down into focus. So this one has 125 metres on it.
Yeah, you can't really see that. Sorry, it's really small. Even with my glasses on, I struggle to see that. So it says a lot about the information.
There you go, 125 metres on it.
Let's point to that. Oh, sorry, people. Okay, interesting. So very small, not the greatest, but...
Which means that we need double to get, so for every one of them we need 2.
So hold on, just repeat that again because I'm a bit confused. So it's saying to me that I need, let's say I'm knitting for quite a small person, and I need 4 balls.
Yeah.
Times 50 grams.
Yeah.
Why have you put 250 metres?
Because there's 250 metres in a 50 gram ball of that yarn.
Of patina?
Yes.
But in this one, in Alpaca Soft DK, there's only 100 25 metres?
Yeah, because it's a heavier yarn.
Oh, okay.
So it's just a heavier
Right,
double knitting
okay.
yarn, but you just make sure that you got the 250. You don't go by the grams here. You would go
Okay,
by...
so here's the gotcha though. If I pick up this pattern,
Yeah.
I need to know what length patina
Yep.
is. How do I know that?
Well, you can look it up on Ravelry. Ravelry is a great place for looking up discontinued yarns.
Okay, quite a lot of. I mean, you either enjoy this or you don't, kind of thing. I think to me that's quite interesting. I would quite enjoy looking it up. I mean, I wonder how far back you can go with vintage yarns and vintage patterns.
You can go quite far back. There is some yarns where they don't give you the information of how much.
So what do you
is
do in
on.
that instance if you simply don't know what the yardage or the length of the ball that 50 grams gives you? What would you do?
You will have to kind of guess, really. You know roughly. You will maybe find a pattern that looks quite similar, and try and see if the information you can get on that pattern will give you an indication of how much usage there is. Otherwise, you can look at what is the content of that discontinued yarn.
Hold on, here's an interesting one. So the tension then. So if I knitted it up in not patina, I knitted it up in alpaca soft decay, then this is telling me that if I knit it up, that I've got 22 stitches and 31 rows,
Yeah.
should equate to a 10 centimetre square.
Yeah.
But if I used a different yarn,
Yeah.
and there's a square. Okay, this is
you
there.
look
Right, I
here,
see
that
what you mean,
square
right.
there. That's what we were talking about in the previous video. That we got that tension square.
Right, I'm not going to find this. It's too hard. It's too
What?
hard to find this. I don't.
Well, that's. We need to get the sweet spot there. There we go.
So this is what's this saying?
22 stitches.
Yeah.
And 30.
Gives us
So
what?
gives us 10.
Gives us 10 centimetres. Is it always generally 10 centimetres that they measure it by?
Yeah. So also look here, the tension.
Okay, so this is interesting. So this is why you would want to knit up a tension square.
Yeah.
So you could just, if you're going to do a big project, relatively big
Yeah.
to you as a new knitter,
The
and you're
width-
not sure of
Yeah.
the thickness of you're not sure of the yardage of the ball that you've got, of the wool you've got, then do a tension square and see what it compares to. And your tension square is, how do I get to 10
No,
centimetres?
that's nothing to do with the yardage.
Oh, okay.
This is just the tension square is how many stitches per how many rows. This
Gives
don't
you
tell,
10
This
centimetres.
doesn't tell you how much yarn you need. This just tells you how your tension should be. And
Tension literally being the stretchiness of the yarn.
No,
No.
it's not. It means that 22 stitches should measure 10 centimetres wide.
So why does that not? But that would be useful if I'm
not-
using a different. But if I'm using alpaca soft decay,
Yeah,
22 stitches gives me 10. It's the same.
yeah.
And 30 rows gives me 10, which
Yeah.
is slightly out.
It's slightly out. I would say that the width is much more important than the length.
Okay. So you're saying this is quite easy, but this is all quite complicated. So the back is basically refers to
Yeah.
this bit here.
It's actually, the back is the full shape of this. So you actually see the back here,
Yeah.
and you will see the fronts actually on top of the back. Does that make sense?
No.
So that full shape there, up here, there, over, that's the back shape.
Yeah.
And the front shape they've actually just drawn on top.
What's this picture?
This is a sleeve.
Oh, it goes round. All right. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah, so that's a set-in sleeve.
So the back using
So-
wee needles. 3.
Well, you have also
Done.
you've skipped this one because it obviously gives an information about what needles we use. Here it says 1 pair. That indicates that it's knitted flat. That tells me this is a flat knitting pattern. So you're knitting
What
it
tells
in
you it's
piece.
knitted flat?
That it says a pair, or 1 pair, 3.25 millimeter, or
Aye, there's no reference to
there's no reference to circular needles,
circular needles.
which indicates that this garment is knitted flat.
Right,
So yeah, you jumped over. It tells you if you need buttons,
right.
and then you get to your tension, and then it says back. 9 out of 10 times you start with the back of a garment, and in this instance, that's the case. You cast on the required stitches, and you go into a rib.
So this is row 1.
Yeah.
The right side.
Yeah.
P1 is what?
Purl 1.
And then why star knit 1?
So if there's stars, it indicates a repeat.
So this is a moss, not a moss stitch, a stocking stitch.
No, this is a rib.
It's a rib, so it's, hold on, move your finger. So it's the right side,
P1.
purl 1,
Purl 1.
knit 1.
And can you see TBL?
Yeah.
Through the back loop.
Through the back loop.
Yeah.
Shut the back door. Shut the front door.
And then purl 1. And you repeat, then you says repeat from star. So you go back to the star, do that, and just repeat that.
Through the back loop.
Yeah.
Purl 1, repeat from start to end.
Yeah.
For the first row only.
Yeah. Then you go into...
Hold on. Unless you're jumping ahead. Where is... So what's the first row? How long's the first row?
That is 107, 121 stitches, or depending on your size. So these are the number of stitches you need to cast on depending on what size, and you get your sizes up here.
Where's 107 up here?
So 107 there stitches, that's for the first size, which is 32 to 34 inches.
And watch out, move your finger up. So the size 32 to 34 inches.
Yeah.
And then so that's what size I am, or I'm not, but let's just say that's what size I want to what. Then what do I do? So I do.
And then you go down here, and that's the first number of stitches. So using 3 1/4 millimeter needles, cast on 107.
How do you know that's the first number?
Because that's how patterns work. So the first number is the first size, second number is the second size, third is the third size, fourth is the fourth size, and fifth is the fifth size.
Well, you missed that out, didn't you? My goodness.
Yeah, well, I'm a knitter, I assume things. And that's why
what do we say about assume?
Well, but that's good that you're here, because then I can explain it, and when you don't understand it, you can jump back.
Right, so but you're telling me that this is common in almost all patterns.
Yeah, all garment patterns that has different sizes.
Right, so I'm knitting for a person who's 32, 34.
Yeah.
And then I go here, I'm casting on 107 stitches.
Yeah, so it's actually sometimes good to kind of maybe underline or circle the ones you need to do.
I'm knitting, okay, I cast 100 on, not that, but I'm
on a form.
What was a 3.5?
That's a 4, so it would be
4
smaller.
is more or less, right? So
that would be the one you'll be doing.
And I'm going to use my alpaca, even though it's patina.
Yeah.
But patina it doesn't exist anymore, so I'm going to use alpaca because it's DK. I'm still not quite sure about the yardage, but let's not worry about that right now, because I can even join a new ball on or whatever, can't I? Right?
Yeah, you do.
Doesn't really matter as long as I've got enough balls.
Yeah, and it's always so. It's actually a good idea to go to a physical yarn store, because they will tell you all of that.
Oh no, you can order online and we'll help you.
Yes.
Or you'll help.
Yeah.
So if the 4 balls is for the first size, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So everything comes, so that belongs
just
to
in
that.
order, right? So I've got a bit.
So if we're going for that size there, we're going for the 4 balls, and we start off with 107.
Right. Okay, now I'm getting to know where we are. So 107 stitches on that.
Not on this needle. It would be
need a longer needle like that.
You would need actually about that size. This is a 35 centimeter straight needle. You can do it on circular needles.
But you're not treating them as circular. They're just using what the cable is to take your knitting as you go.
Yeah. So you would just.
So I prefer circular needles for that reason. Because I don't really like using big long needles. I find it you start to it's holding your fabric firm, and I'm not sure I like that, but I don't know.
It's a individual thing. Some people prefer the straight ones, and some people actually tuck a needle under an arm to knit that.
Okay.
So anyway.
This is quite a lot of information I have to say. We need to break this down a wee bit for other videos. So, but we're doing quite well. We've got to row 1. We've done our cast on 107.
Yeah.
So then our right side. How do I know I'm on the right side? Because it's facing me.
It's because it's the first row and you got your tail to the right.
Oh God, right.
Yeah.
Purl 1, knit 1.
Through the back loop.
I don't know what that means. We've not done that.
No, we haven't done that stitch. But a normal rib would be knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1.
Right.
So
this is a wee bit intermediate. It's not an easy. You're saying this is easy. It's not that easy.
This is categorised as an easy pattern.
But the first one is complete beginner.
The first one is complete beginner, yeah.
Then we're going to move on to easy.
Well, we're going on to advanced because you're going to do something out of pattern. You're going rogue.
But yeah, but no, advanced in terms of not following a pattern, but in terms of when we get to work out what our pattern is.
Yeah.
This is.
Yeah.
Through the back loop, we haven't done that, so we need to do a wee thing, a video in that, I think.
Yeah.
And then the second row is a kind of.
Well, the second row is much more straightforward because you start with a knit one, and then you purl one, knit one, and you just do that to the end.
But from the star, go to the star. So you must go purl one, knit one to the end.
Yeah.
And then these two rows.
This is often what happens. So it says these two rows form the rib.
Yeah.
So you'll repeat basically those two rows for here another 17 rows. So you're actually ending knitting a right side because you're then going over to what they call row 20, which is the wrong side, which is now they just tell you to rib 7 and then you work 2 together. So you're decreasing on this row.
Yeah.
This is quite common as well, that you're starting with your rib, you then have some decreases in the last row.
I'm going to stop you there. This is quite complicated, Tilda. You said this is easy. It's not. Now I'm jumping ahead and I can see that we have changing needles from 4, change to 4 mil from 3 1/4. Then from that change, begin with a knit row, now work to stitch through as follows.
Yeah.
This is too hard. I think you would have to be guided through this.
As a beginner, yes. It is still a basic, easy pattern.
I get that. But let's go. Let's find a pattern. Let's come to get to this, because there's quite a lot of things we need to break out and say. This is what through the back loop is. This is what the rib is, because even that's simple what a rib is, and then working two together. You know, we have to talk about that. Then we have changing needle sizes. Breaking all this out is quite a lot. I think we've done quite a good job here.
Yeah.
And the basics, and let's keep it at that. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, well, maybe we can then. I think it's a lot actually going through a garment pattern, because there is a lot of shaping and there's a lot of wee things.
We maybe have to pick a pattern that we're actually going to knit up and show. We have to demonstrate what through the back loop is and all that kind of thing. We're actually now planning our next video.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. But anyway, I hope that's been useful for the beginnings, yes?
Yeah, so this is kind of, I think if people wanted to go on, because you're actually, after you've done your rib and you start where you change over to your 4mm needles, because that's often what you do after a rib, you do that on smaller needles to tighten that up. You then go over to your 4mm needles, and here it says ST, that means stocking stitch. So basically from now on you're just knitting a row, purling a row. So you knit on the right side, purl on the wrong side, until it says the back measures.
But where on this garment, where am I starting? Here.
Yeah, you're starting down from the
So
bottom.
the reason it's got the purl one, knit one through the back loop is because you're getting this stretchy rib.
You're getting a rib with a little bit of what looks like almost like a wee twist in it.
And then the way it says row 20 is basically the top.
The top of the rib.
Top of the rib.
Yeah, so you just.
And then I move on to stocking stitch through the rest. And then, but apart from this bit, I'm also then incorporating.
Yeah, but you're doing the back, remember?
I'm doing the back first.
Yeah. So you're basically, and then what you do is, you're doing straight up for here. If you were doing small, 31 centimeters. Ending with the right side facing for the next row, which means that you end on a wrong side row, and then
right.
And I think we should maybe take the shape armholes at a later date, because then it's actually when all the shaping starts and it becomes a little bit more complicated.
I think you're going to find this is quite a lot.
Yeah. So
I think what we need to do, because there's quite a lot here that's very complex, and I'm kind of worried about my pattern. If you go back, let's jump back to Oops. Where is my pattern? Oh, there it is. You know, I'm going to do this tank top. The Martin Story tank top. Which you're saying is actually as complicated.
It is a bit, yeah.
So we need to. So what I think as a beginner, I want to see step by step to get me to that complexity. So I was even stopped by TBL through the back loop. Hi. So I think this pattern is really good. That we've talked a lot about sizing, changing yarn, needle types, and getting the right needles. What a tension square is, and that is working from the back, and it says quite explicitly at the back. And you said that you picked this pattern because it was simple and it matched the pattern I wanted to do. But I think we need to rethink this maybe because there's quite a lot here. I think it's simply TBL through the back loop, purl 1, then repeat from start. Even that's quite a lot for a beginner like me. So I think we need to do a video about what TBL is, and let's take it step by step to go from, the simple, literally this garter stitch beanie, that is a simple bit of fabric that's been knitted in knit stitch to create garter, which is just simply all knit, to then jump to, I wanted to then do, we've not jumped, I've done the fern beanie, which is not that. Is that the fern beanie?
No, this is just a rib beanie.
This is a rib beanie. And then...
And you were the reason you were doing that was actually to get you to do the shapings. So you could do some knit 2 together and purl 2 together. Yeah,
and then we're going to jump to this.
Yeah.
Which is probably quite complicated.
Yeah, you can actually see, if you notice here, there's three balls. So this is an advanced one. But it's actually an advanced because it's kind of colour work, but we're not going to do colour work. So that will take one off, so to basically make it an easy.
Okay, but again, interesting, just the same, I mean, as they're both ribbon patterns, we should get a completely different pattern, but it's get the sizing. If I'm, depending on what size I am, I've not measured myself yet, but then that would be what, if I'm, let's say I'm 1, 2, 3, 4, 112, 117, that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, I need 7 balls at 50 grams.
Yeah, but this is 4 ply, so we need to kind of adjust yours. We know that we got enough for a tank top.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
So we need to adjust.
But my point of this was that we'll get size, the yarn, the needles, tension square, what your tension is going to be.
Yeah.
This one's got a pattern note.
Yeah.
And then it starts with the back again. They always seem to start with the back.
Yeah.
And then we've got, but that's quite complex. 2 3/4 needles, and with yarn A, your first yarn, cast on, and then if that was again 1, 2, 3, 4, 112, then I'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, cast on 162.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can see it's written in the same language as the other one I was showing you.
But I think we should probably find some good beginner, it's not complete, what would be the next step after it easy to then get...
So hang on here, because you're doing a complete beginner, which means that after complete beginner is beginner patterns. They're not, you kind of learn to knit patterns, which is what I call complete beginners. And then you get your beginner patterns, where it has kind of minimal shaping. And then after that comes easy. So easy is one step up from beginner.
Let's go and do a blog on this, and then do the videos corresponding, because I think it's been quite interesting what we've done so far, but it is quite complicated.
Yeah.
So, just on the terms of jumping to the previous video with ball bands, and again with a previous video again of striping, self-striping. That's very, very nice, Louisa Harding.
Yeah.
I called that Amatola, and one of your students in the class did something nice.
Yeah. A Sophie scarf.
Can we get the link to the Sophie scarf? It's on Ravelry.
Yes, it's on Ravelry.
We need to do a Ravelry video. So that's just an overhead cam on this, because it is very nice.
It is a really, really nice.
So just not even worrying about the yarn does all the work here.
Yeah.
So as you knit up the Sophie scarf, the yarn will kind of form this colourway.
Yeah. It's a really beautiful scarf. The colourway are really beautiful.
What's the stitch?
So this is just actually a garter stitch with an I-cord edge.
Yeah.
And Karen, who knitted it,
Yeah.
she I think this must be her 15th Sophie scarf. She's a little bit addicted to them.
Right, good, because it looks like a very effective
And she's using them.
garment.
Actually, let me just, if you put it back to the camera, I'll just pop this one on. So it's just really, actually, I need to have it like this. So the wee triangle down. And you just have a wee. So it's a really neat wee scarf. So if you just need. And
How many balls of wool is that?
This is actually half a ball.
It's half of that.
Half of this.
So we're going to. It's a pattern that's on Ravelry called the Sophie pattern.
The Sophie scarf by Petite Knit.
Amazing.
Very, if you don't know it, yeah.
Let's link to it. Okay.
Yeah. So
We went through a lot. Let's break it down and keep talking. Keep
Yeah.
knitting. Let us know what you think. If you followed it this far, well done. We love you.
yeah.
Okay, bye.
Hi.